If you're a maintenance supervisor for a commercial property, you've had to deal with everything from leaky faucets to flickering light bulbs. But nothing's worse than that ancient boiler that's lived in the building since the day it was built, 50 years ago. It's enough to make anyone lose their cool. That's where Grainger comes in. With industrial-grade products and dependable fast delivery, Grainger can help with any challenge, from worn-out components to everyday necessities. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hello. Welcome to Black Monday in the NFL and for Fox Sports. What a weekend all around. A lot of chaotic stuff going on. We are the Flurry Sports Podcast, and we're here on a Monday morning. If you're listening to this at the normal time, just the podcast feed, just know Monday vibes, early morning vibes. Mm-hmm. Is this the first podcast we've ever done in the morning?
Yeah, I think so.
Interesting. This is going to be an interesting one, I think. This is a good one, though.
Yeah, it's the only time I ever did playing catch up with Dad was in morning podcasts, and that felt that way. But baseball felt like a morning thing because it's like we got to get out there before more news breaks at noon. You know,
I mean, that's kind of what it feels like today, though. I mean, we've got coaching firings, we got people sleeping their way to the top at Fox Sports in the least surprising fashion possible.
At the least I can't wait place possible. Yeah.
Right. I can't wait for the ESPN version to come out. That's going to be great. Obviously what's Dan Orlovsky doing to get all of these shows? That's what we need to figure out.
This is all speculation. I need to put this out there. We haven't even got a scandal yet. If an ESPN scandal comes out and the words Sage Steele are not in it, I'll give you $50.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
That's very true. It's going to be interesting. And by the way, all this news comes out again. Also speculation here. All of this news comes out. We're looking at who's the ESPN person that's going to come out. Interesting that Rex Ryan's dipping his feet back into the coaching pool, huh? Rex Ryan notably loves feet. Dare I say, sexual deviant of ESPN, Rex Ryan. All of a sudden, he's like, I need to get out of here before shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
I don't know. We shall see. But we are going to, for those who haven't been introduced to this Fox Sports lawsuit, I think a lot of people read the memes online. Very funny stuff. And there's a lot of people who may have not heard about it at all. I said this to Jake before the show. I truly don't know how big this has gotten online just because I think everyone was truly tuned into football, to be completely honest. So there's people who fully miss this, I think. And then, I mean, people digest their news from sports shows, and sports, like TV shows, aren't going to be talking about this, I imagine, right?
I think so. I think they're going to wait to cover it. I think I'm going to kind of talk about it today. I'm under the assumption people don't know about it. I think that's
I don't think so.
No. I think if you're in online, you may have seen something come up, like if you're really plugged in. But I think the mix of when it's breaking over a very like packed football weekend, when I'm Googling like who's in, like what does this mean for seating? To sneak an allegation in there, but two, this very much stems around Skip Bayless, which we'll get into, who no longer works for the company. So I think there's going to be some separation of like we're talking about is the Fox Sports scandal, which I think it could turn into, but I think there may be some time in separation as it's like, well, we don't have to talk about it immediate because Skip's not there anymore.
Well, he's not the biggest issue in the story, which
I agree.
He's certainly a contributing factor. The way I was introduced to the story, again, I didn't get like a notification from like a sports app or anything saying, hey, this thing happened. I saw two things on Twitter. I saw one, someone tweeting a GIF of something, and be like, oh, Joy Taylor's definitely like getting it from everybody everywhere at Fox Sports.
Yeah.
And then the other thing was Joy Taylor slept with Acho. Like out of everybody, Acho, which tells me the algorithm is really built for me because boy, I hate Acho. Once I found out he's in this story,
yeah,
son of a bitch. And we need more Acho in this story at some point. For anyone who's, let me take the stand, or let me grill the people on the stand. I need to talk about Acho. But is there anything else you'd like to say before we introduce this? And we're just going to walk through the actual lawsuit, which is also a first here at Flurry Sports. We're doing legal shit today, which behind the scenes, Jake and I have been doing for a couple weeks now.
Yeah, we're getting legal over here to end and to start the year. Just welcome to the show. I think if as folks join, we're gonna cover the big things today. So I know this is what we do, which is we start with the things that we're like, why isn't anyone talking about this? But I promise.
Over the past 75 years, more than 10,000 chemicals have entered our food supply, but the EU allows just 300 additives. At Thrive Market, we prioritize quality, banning over 1,000 ingredients found in conventional grocery stores. Our Healthy Swap scanner helps you find better versions of your pantry essentials without the junk, dyes, or fillers, and everything is delivered right to your doorstep. So shop at a grocery store that actually cares about your health at thrivemarket.com/get-started for 30% off your first order and a free $60 gift.
At your job, do you ever have to deal with a nose roller? How about a snub pulley? Well, if you're installing a new conveyor belt system, dealing with the different components can sound like you're speaking a foreign language. Luckily, you've got a team ready to help. Grainger's technical product specialists are fluent in maintenance, repair, and operations. So whenever you want to talk shop, just reach out. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
We've got some stuff coming with coaches and those changes and teams that are locked into draft spots and teams who are in the playoffs. We're going to cover all that good stuff. The only other context I'm going to give, just to not rebut something you're saying, but to give context, I agree with you. So as folks listen to all the names involved and maybe give some context to everyone not named Skip Bayless. But I just did a quick Google search, all the articles, and there's a lot breaking today. So maybe this will get bigger as we talk about it. This is one title from CBS News, but they're all worded the same, which is former Fox Sports host Skip Bayless harassed hairstylist and offered her $1.5 million for sex. Lawsuit alleges.
That's the biggest story.
No, agreed. I'm with you. Like, there's other pieces that I want folks to tune into more, so listen to all the nuances here today. But I do want to give credit where it's due to. I think this is going to be a Skip Bayless story, and if folks read into it more, they will. But I have a feeling that it benefits Fox to paint it that way as well.
He's gone.
Yeah. So, and so are all the problems. Nothing here.
Yeah.
Exactly. The foundation. So let's hear about it, Zach. Walk us through it.
Okay. So let's jump into this. Can you see this fine from your end?
Yeah.
Jake. Okay.
You bet.
So just to introduce this story, Miss Faraji, this is going to be the hairdresser. I'm just going to call her the hairdresser just in case I'm pronouncing her name wrong. Bringing forth this because she worked at Fox for over a decade, endured misogynistic, racist, ableist workplace where executives and talent were allowed to abuse their workers.
Allegedly.
This is all alleged. Some of this, by the way, this whole thing, there's some like cartoon villains, and then she seems like everyone here seems so exaggerated. I can't tell what's fully true, but we shall.
Which is how lawsuits start. Yeah, 100%.
And her biggest thing on this lawsuit, I think, to be honest, the biggest story is about racism, sleeping your way to the top, offering money to have sex, sexual battery is in this as well. However, the majority of this lawsuit's actually like a class action on behalf of the employees for this stuff, failing to pay overtime wages, minimum wages, yada, yada, yada. So the interesting stuff, the fun stuff to talk about in terms of getting clicks and stuff isn't the biggest part of this lawsuit, to be completely honest. We don't need to talk about that stuff. It's just like they're not paying people's wages. They are slowly taking away people's hours so they can systematically fire them. All of that is not legal. and that is something that supposedly Fox is doing. So that is interesting. So the main parties here of this lawsuit, Faraji, again, is a hairdresser who worked for Fox up until pretty recently, since Skip Bayless's departure, ironically enough. Fox, yada, yada. Charlie Dixon, he's going to be referred to as Mr. Dixon in this. He's the executive vice president of content at FS1. So basically, he's in charge of the shows. He's in charge of who's on the shows and stuff like that. Skip Bayless, you know him, you love him for Skip and Shannon for his take. Everybody knows who Skip Bayless is, and it's hard to separate Skip from the TV Skip. And as we're reading this, I'm not sure if there is a separation, so we shall see. Joy Taylor, big part of this lawsuit. So she is a host at Fox. We'll find out why she is a host at Fox pretty soon.
Co-host of Undisputed, along with Skip and formerly Shannon Sharp, also a part of this. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Shannon is in this a little bit as well. Not a lot. No wrongdoing on Shannon's part, it seems like.
No.
Okay.
I do think Shannon's going to be the one that blows this up.
He should have.
Yeah.
He was live last night with Ocho for his nightly show, and I was just hoping he would say something, but he did not.
Yeah.
To my knowledge. Okay. Here we go. Factual background. Number one, when she was hired to work at Fox, she started in 2003. Yada, yada, yada. She's been doing hair. She's doing makeup. She did it on a part-time basis in 2012. She did stuff for some people, not very needed for this. Just know this all started her relationship with Fox in 2003, and it continued. She
Long
became
10 years.
Full-time. Right. She became full-time in 2016. Okay. Mr. Dixon so the executive gives Joy Taylor Undisputed as a reward for having sex with them. Nice headline, great headline. March 2016, the hairdresser met with Joy Taylor, who recently moved from Miami to LA for this opportunity with Fox. Yeah. She would be filling in when Talent was sick, so she didn't have like a full-time job yet there. Joy told the hairdresser she was recently wed, but her husband remained in Miami, so she was lonely in LA. Interesting thing to say. Joy Taylor then befriended the hairdresser. May 2016, Joy Taylor asked the hairdresser to meet for a drink, and when the hairdresser arrived, Joy Taylor was with an older man who the hairdresser did not know at that point, but it was Mr. Dixon, the vice president of content. When Mr. Dixon went to buy them another round of spicy margaritas, again, this seems like a cartoon, the hairdresser asked who he was. Joy Taylor said, just a friend. Following that night, whenever Joy Taylor and the hairdresser would meet, Mr. Dixon would arrive with her or leave with her. And she suspected the pair were sleeping together. And she was concerned because Joy Taylor was recently married. June 2016, the hairdresser noticed the Mr. Dixon at work in the elevator. And she's like, oh my God, this is the guy who always buys us drinks in the elevator. He's here. Again, very clueless, very cartoonish, not sure. Joy Taylor quickly silenced her, explaining who he was. Hairdresser was alarmed and warned Joy Taylor that the relationship would be unsafe. July 2016, word spread that there was going to be a new show. It's going to be a very big deal, and they needed someone with significant TV experience to star alongside Skip and Shannon Sharp. This became Undisputed, obviously, and it was a surprise that Fox decided to go Joy Taylor, who was a bartender, very little TV experience. Apparently, Skip Bayless did not want Joy Taylor on the show, but Mr. Dixon was adamant that she would star. And then he arranged a dinner for Skip and Joy, where Joy was being a slut, acting very slutty, provocative, trying to seduce Mr. Bayless, supposedly. And he still didn't really want her. Reluctantly, Skip agreed to do a favor for Mr. Dixon, apparently. 2016, there was a dinner between the hairdresser with Joy Taylor and her husband and then Mr. Dixon and his wife. And then apparently Joy Taylor's husband found out or felt like, oh, there's something weird sexual happening here, found out that there were actually things going on, and then they divorced. So that was August 2016, pretty quick there. So they were barely married, essentially. And then at this point, then immediately after that, Joy Taylor requested that the hairdresser would do her hair at Fox, and Skip Bayless also requested her to do his hair. So that's the setup of everything, okay?
Yeah.
Any questions, any thoughts then at this point?
The only thing I'll clarify is just, which is good. We've had a lot of folks join us as you started giving that. So I'm just going to repeat some of the key things for folks as you join in. We're talking about the Fox Sports scandal today, so you can give that a Google. But Zach's just introducing us so far to the background context of Faraji, Miss Faraji, who's the complainant in the case. We're going to refer to her as the hairdresser just to make sure we're pronouncing everything correctly. But I think those are the big pieces. I think the timeline, as you set it up, is important because it's hard to talk about anything legal like this that doesn't sound like we're either endorsing or undermining a certain person's case. But right now I'm just trying to figure it all out. So I would also underline that, like, as we get into the other allegations that you're about to read into, this timeline is important because you nailed it at the start. This is coming out now because a group of folks were terminated because Skip doesn't have his show anymore.
Right.
And, you know, some of the big allegations, including the big payment, happened years ago. And so that timing is important to recognize because it seems systemic. It also seems that this is all highlighted by it's coming to light because the show's not continuing.
Correct. Yeah. Skip, bad guy in this. Skip also kept people's jobs at the same time. So, yeah.
Yeah,
because
he's gone more than moral good. But yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, Skip's never really been a moral good, to be fair. But yeah, including in here. Okay, so now we're going to January 2017. Mr. Dixon gropes the hairdresser after putting her on Undisputed to do Joy Taylor's hair. So Joy Taylor had her birthday party. A hairdresser and other employees were invited. And Mr. Dixon, as usual, it says, was heavily drinking, buying drinks for everybody on Fox's card, blustering that everything purchased was on Fox's dime. So, again, as cartoonish as possible, this guy's just an asshole, drunk weirdo.
Yeah.
So she was standing near the bar. She's going to go get a drink, or she had a drink. Mr. Dixon comes up, his arm around her lower back, asked how she was doing, if she was having fun, if she wanted a tequila shot. She was uncomfortable, said no thank you. He put his hand lower, started rubbing her body and her ass, and then she was mortified, thought quickly, and faked an incoming call to escape the situation, I guess. She didn't know what to do. She went to talk to Joy Taylor because she knew she was sleeping with him, so she thought she'd be on her side somehow. And then Joy Taylor said to get over it, explaining that she only had a job because of Mr. Dixon, and then thus the hairdresser only had a job because of Joy. So that's essentially this situation, just saying, hey, get over it. You just have to deal with it. He can do what he wants, essentially. 7 years later, in 2023, Miss Peretti, which is the first time she's mentioned in this, it seems like she has some sort of authority at Fox in terms of she does and she doesn't. I think she's in an authority position, but she doesn't actually have any power, is what it feels like. She did not like the hairdresser at all. And that's been her default through this entire thing. She just is a bad person and doesn't like the hairdresser per the lawsuit. That's all you need to know about this part, in my opinion. Okay, D. Mr. Dixon gets rid of a female talent for refusing to have sex with him. So several years into the hairdresser's tenure at Fox, a female talent member who's anonymous was hired the hairdresser to do her hair. She said she would no longer be at Fox because Mr. Dixon said she would need to have sex with them in order to renew the contract. She refused. And then the anonymous person conveyed that Mr. Dixon was doing this to other people there as well, should warn Joy Taylor to be careful. And another host recently reported Mr. Dixon. We do not know who that is. Also, by the way, Marcellus Wiley is going to be talking about a bunch of this stuff too.
Yeah.
I imagine he's going to have some insight. I'm wondering where his role plays in this. It'll be interesting. Okay, so following the lunch, then the hairdresser calls Joy, said exactly what the anonymous person said. Joy Taylor said, no one gives a fuck about that person or the person who talked about Mr. Dixon. So Joy Taylor's remark appeared accurate as no actions were taken. Nice. That's all that is. Now we go to Skip. Skip has joined the story. Skip begins to give the hairdresser lingering hugs and kisses on the cheek while putting his body against hers and pressing on her breasts. Oh, Skip. Okay, so after reporting after the talk show host reporting of Mr. Dixon fell on deaf ears, Mr. Bayless began requesting that the hairdresser would give him a haircut once a week. So yeah, that's her job. So she did it essentially. However, as the haircuts began, Skip began finding excuses to touch her. He would give her lingering hugs with each haircut, putting his body against her own, touching her breasts. He then began to kiss her on the cheek. She was uncomfortable with the physical contact and would make excuses to leave right after the haircuts with excuses such as, I need to pick up my son from school. Here's my question. Is he getting haircuts at night?
I think he's getting haircuts whenever he wants.
But like he's only on in the mornings.
Yeah.
Wouldn't he be getting haircuts before he goes on?
So I'm really reading into this in the answer to this, but I do think it's interesting because one of the allegations is failure to pay overtime. So I think part of this is an allegation that basically Skip is forcing her to spend more time with him.
I don't think so. I think the overtime thing, as it is outlined, I don't think has anything to do with her. It's a class action for other employees.
Other folks as well. Okay. But yeah, one way or another, it sounds like he's getting night haircuts,
or she's terrible at excuses. And that should be brought up as well. Because if it's like 9 a.m., she's like, I need to get my son. Yeah. I don't know. Red flag. Why? Someone let me know. Would you get a haircut at night? Because that doesn't.
I think, but they also work at the Buck Crack of Dawn. That's part of this, right? Like they're a morning show, so you get your haircuts at different times.
I guess. Okay, so this is how I know it's part of this is for sure real. So in 2017, the hairdresser was giving Skip a haircut. He said that she was voluptuous, and she's English is not her first language, so she didn't know what that meant. When she asked Skip what it meant, he seemed amused and told her to figure it out, which is okay. This happened for sure. That's Skip.
Yeah.
She asked another coworker and was mortified when she found out. Essentially, she was terrified. Turned to her coworker to discuss the situation. They decided that because Skip was a powerful and Fox protected powerful people, that she shouldn't do anything. Essentially, she's a single mother who relied on the job to support her son. She felt she had no choice but to keep getting, doing stuff for Skip, yada, yada, yada. This is bad, but honestly not that important to the case. She had her hours. She went on medical leave because she hurt her back. When she was gone, they had to give somebody else hours. When she came back, they couldn't just fire the person they gave hours, so she had less hours. That's how I take that part.
Correct. The only thing I'll add to that section, and maybe we can use that to funnel in a couple other sections that are kind of like that. I would also say a big basis of the case is she's alleging that her and others in the case brought several of this up to HR. And it's just another example of a thing she's alleging HR didn't do anything about. So I think it's helpful to the case as someone trying to illustrate a defunct HR department. This is like another example of like HR falling through.
Yeah, HR is bad. In this, they definitely just ignored whatever she had to say. Yeah. This part also, the biggest thing in her case, truly, I think, again, it's the hours stuff. That's the biggest part of the case, just not the exciting part of the case. So her biggest thing is she talks about how they systematically fire people, but they deem to be an issue or a threat or whatever. But they do that because by like limiting their hours to the point where they become useless, and then they can justify the firing. So saying that her hours were cut is the start of that systematic firing from her point of view, where it's like, okay, they're just reducing how important she is there until they can say, hey, you're not important, you're fired. Not for saying, hey, you know too much information, that's why you're fired. Essentially.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay. So now, again, this Miss Peretti yelled at her, made fun of her, bullied her. She's just a cartoon villain. Now, a hairdresser remains on Undisputed to do stuff for Joy and Skip, but she's also asked to join the Herd, my nemesis. So, summer 2018.
Sorry, that really caught me off guard, but you're right. You're
it's
correct.
true. Yeah. This is the part of the case that pissed me off. I'm not going to lie. Okay, so 2018, Joy moved from Undisputed to the Herd with Colin Cowherd. So then the hairdresser was asked to do hair for Cowherd as well. So she would do Bayless's hair, do Joy's hair, do Colin Cowherd's hair. And then this is the part is bullshit. So throughout the entire tenure, Colin Cowherd was professional and respectful to the hairdresser and her co-workers. There's nothing bad to say about him.
Okay.
There's nothing bad to say. There's also another part, this fucking lawsuit where it says, during her entire tenure, there is no wrongdoing by Colin Cowherd at Fox. That's not true. He does wrongdoing every day. Maybe not in this case, but we need to frame it correctly.
Yeah, it does.
None?
I did read that, and it hit me like when maybe it's because I work with this all the time in my real life job where it's like I'm helping people report things, and it has the vibe of like someone else is involved, and it's like Colin's reading over her shoulders. Like,
Yeah.
Hey, can you make sure that this sentence is? I just wanted to be clear. I'm here.
Also, put in there that I
guy.
didn't mean the Ben Simmons is better than LeBron thing. He say it was all a joke.
Yeah, true. Hey, by the way, that hit the stream at the same time as this scandal. That's blowing up. Coincidence?
Yeah.
Who knows? But I did. It was interesting how much he emphasized that about Cowherd. But
yeah, whatever. So this is Colin Cowherd's introduction and end in this lawsuit.
Yeah.
Apparently he's a great guy. Fucking asshole. Okay. Now, this guy. This is
legally a great guy.
Legally a great guy. Yeah. This next guy is the worst person.
This dude's the worst. Our boy Bobby Diaz, allegedly terrible dude.
This is insane. So 2019, Bobby Diaz, who is just the person who puts the microphone on people. He mocked the hairdresser for how she pronounced English words and sexualized the way she was eating fruit. She just didn't respond, essentially. And then that evil lady came and yelled at her, didn't do anything. Okay, so there's information that this microphone guy openly gropes, harasses, and is inappropriate with women at Fox. He has not been fired because of his role in supplying cocaine to Fox employees. And even after, which we need to talk about this more, he had an incident where he removed his pants on live camera.
Yeah.
What? Is this a known thing? Like, let's talk about that a little more. Open this up. So he just gives people cocaine. He took his pants off. He touches people, but he's cool. And then then after the lawsuit was known, various employees told Diaz, and he mocked the situation. He said that the hairdresser was stupid, very childish. He said he didn't care. He said, who gives a shit? Boasted that he would never be fired. Guess what? I think that might be the most replaceable person here. I think he's gone. This guy can't be that safe.
Yeah. Also accused in here of one of several people who mocks the plaintiff Faraji for her English, also sexualizing the way she ate fruit.
Yep, I said that.
I know,
So,
but we need to talk about it. I think
this guy is
like,
just a childhood buddy. He's a high school bully.
He's a high school bully and he's a real life criminal. It's crazy. He does all the bad things. I wanted to circle back to the fruit thing only because there's something to, like, if you do that, you're a terrible person. Like, we need to highlight that red flag more. If you sexualize the way I eat anything, get away from me.
It's just weird.
I can't eat a banana in your presence. Fuck you.
this is the guy who's going to get fired from Fox in order to soothe this over. Like, problem eliminated. Diaz is gone. Oh God, I wish, because Skip is gone, so that problem's out the door. Joy's gonna stay because Joy is Joy, and then this guy who just takes his pants off and gives people cocaine. We can find another person to do that, so he is going to be fired immediately.
By the way, rooting for that. If that is true, hope it's true. Yeah.
True. Joy again uses her sexuality to get onto a show. So in February 2020, met the hairdresser for lunch. When she arrived, she was with another man, this time Emmanuel Acho. Fuck yeah. Acho's joined the party. So hairdresser did not know who Acho was, but could tell the two were romantically involved. Here's another thing. She's been there for what at this point? Like 15 years? She doesn't know anybody. Every time she sees a new person or someone who's been there, she's clueless at who this person is. She knows all the talent, but has no idea who Acho is. She knows all the talent, but has no idea who's in charge of the talent. At some point, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
She's not this clueless. There's no shot. That's all I'll say about that. Few months after meeting Acho at lunch, hairdresser noticed him in the hallway, asked Joy if Acho also worked at Fox, which he was at Fox. Good job connecting the two. Confirmed and said that she wanted Acho to eventually recommend her for the show Speak for Yourself. The hairdresser was alarmed, said that Joy shouldn't sleep with them because she's sleeping with Mr. Dixon already. And then Joy said not to worry about it. She explained Joy is also now powerful. Once Mr. Dixon is no longer useful, she's going to follow through on her plan to tell the company that he forced himself on her. She would not allow herself to be forced out like Mr. Dixon did to other talent. So she was going to try to use Acho for another thing. And then she had a nefarious plan to get the other executive kicked, I guess, supposedly. Apparently, Joy Taylor's is evil genius.
Well, yes, and it's also showing in your one, not that you aren't saying this, but I'm going to just take a moment to highlight it here. This Dixon guy, if these allegations are true, is the actual, one of the actual, like, Jesus Christ, what are we doing? So, because he almost gets mentioned. I think he does get mentioned less than Joy Taylor in this, because I think Joy Taylor and the complaint have more interactions for sure.
Yeah. For sure.
But everything goes back to him. So I'm going to take a moment to be like, frick that guy. Two, like, not only evil genius, but it's also striking to me that it's like, it seems like the context of these conversations, the many conversations that are cited between Joy Taylor and the hairdresser are like, on one hand, Joy Taylor is like agreeing that the allegations are happening and also the recipient of bad behavior, but is almost like, but it's what happens. Like, you have to ride out on it. So I think that's also so troubling to me, that it's like the culture is obviously seems to be so prevalent, if these allegations are true, that it's like, well, yeah, I mean, we can agree it's happening, but time to make the most of it, you know?
Joy Taylor's also just the Will Ferrell character in Austin Powers, where he can't lie 3 times in a row. You just have to ask the same question over and over. Because Joy Taylor, it's like you see her with the guy and she's like, just a friend. Then all of a sudden you ask at work, she's like, caught me. Okay, so this is what's happening. Like, at every point. It's, I don't know.
And it's also, this is skipping ahead, but I think it's a good point to bring this point up of like, I don't think it's going to be the thing that gets noted, but it's another thing that strikes me as true in this, because it's so consistent, is the use of sex as power in this workplace. Like, forced or unforced, whatever. Because one of the other things that also strikes me is like, yep, that's Skip. That feels right to me, is an allegation that as you get into the Skip making money offers, part of the allegations is that Skip also responded with, oh, you don't want to sleep with me. You must be sleeping with Shannon.
I know.
And I bring that in here because it's like, the answer can't be that she's not sleeping with somebody. It's got to be correct. I mean, everyone in this office is sleeping with one of the male talent. And also strikes me that he's paranoid about all the women Shannon is sleeping with, which, correct. That feels true at this point.
We'll get into it. The person supposedly who told Skip that she was sleeping with Shannon was Mr. Dixon. He's stirring the pot all over. And by the way, apparently this Dixon guy was the first person hired by a former executive or president at Fox Sports who has been fired for like sexual harassment or assault or something as well. So it seems very systematic. It feels very widespread. Not very surprising. I will just quickly go over this part. She's targeted because of her ethnicity. There's a former host, I believe, who is now already fired. She seems very unhinged. At an informal dinner at Mastro Steakhouse, I'm not sure if you can have an informal dinner there, by the way, screamed at the hairdresser. Again, there's no context here. Fuck you, you Persian bitch. So, and then she threatened to kill herself with a glass. So, she has been fired already. Is what it is there. Okay. Hairdresser believes she has cancer, conveys this to Skip in an attempt to stop his advances, only to have him offer her $1.5 million to have sex. Attaboy Skip. Over the years, Skip continued to make advances at her, lingering hugs, kisses on the cheek, and inappropriate comments that he could change her life. Very Skip thing to say. Hairdresser would always make excuses regarding her son, change the subject, make a joke, anything to keep Skip happy and her job safe. 2021 developed issues with her left ovary, thought it could be cancer. Essentially, Skip was still making advances. She said, hey, I might have cancer. Skip began rambling because there's cameras everywhere, said, and she had a child, does not want him. Skip grabbed her by the hands, began kissing him, offered her $1.5 million to have sex. She made an excuse to leave. Approximately 1 week later, Skip made another advance, and she said, stop, Skip, you have a wife. Skip said, aren't you Muslim? Doesn't your dad have 3 to 4 wives? She said, hey, my father's dead. Skip looked taken aback, and she made an excuse to leave. Again, this is just a sitcom at this point.
Yeah.
Interesting.
This is a Skylar plot line on Breaking Bad.
It is. It is. Or this is just One Tree Hill somehow. She made the hairdresser's job is threatened because she does not sleep with Skip. So now these are text messages here. 2022, April 12th. Skip says, I'm good today, meaning he wasn't going to come up for hair and makeup. Next day, he texts her, not comfortable coming down there. Just do what you need to do. It's okay. She asked him what's wrong. He said, same stuff, worse. He's acted like a child. Concerned about her job, she went to go to Skip's dressing room, see if everything was okay. Skip answered the door. Before she could speak, he began angrily accusing her of fucking Shannon Sharp. She tried to explain that she did not have any feelings towards Sharp, did not sleep with him or any other talent at Fox. Before she could speak, Skip demanded that she come to his car after the show. She said she could not come sit in his car because that's appropriate. Skip got mad, and then he left. The following day, right? Yes, the following day, Skip texts her, if you're distracted tomorrow, I'll wait till Monday, but I can't keep doing this. She said that she was confused. Skip said, trust me, I'm far more confused. She explained over text that she's not sleeping.
That's such
with
some guy bullshit. Can we just, like, as men, can we say that, like, that's guy? We all look back on moments like that. We're like, man, I'm the worst. That's such dude bull crap. I know I'm hurting you, but think of what it's like for me to be doing it.
Skip, here's the thing. So this feels so real because it feels so Skip. If it's not real, they got his tone perfectly. He's just like, wait a minute, you're fucking this guy? At one point in this lawsuit, he calls Shannon Sharp his mortal enemy. You violated my trust with my mortal enemy. Yeah, which I did. Either Skip gets into character perfectly because he's his debate foe,
Yeah.
Or he really hated Shannon Sharp. I don't know. It's very interesting. But okay, he says, I can't keep doing this. Day after that, Skip texted her, do you still want to do the haircut or just move on? She said she doesn't want to move on from her job. She wants to continue doing his hair. Day after that, he called her. She did not pick up the phone because she was scared. She called him 10 minutes later. On the call, Skip again angrily accused her of fucking Shannon Sharp, said he could tell from her body language that she was doing it. And then she tried to explain that she was kind to all talent and laughs and engages in conversation. Asked if he was yelling at her because she refused to go to his car. Skip said, don't talk to me like that. Then Skip said she heard her talk to Sharp about her vagina, which obviously people do when they're hooking up. They talk about that. Mm-hmm. She said that's not true. She was embarrassed and angry. Even if she had been dating Shannon, which she wasn't, shouldn't matter because she just has a professional relationship with Skip. Day after that, she arrived in the makeup room, small room, as they are talking about. She turned on a recording device, waited for Skip to arrive. Apparently, two of her co-workers were hiding because she knew what was going on. Skip came into the room. Skip knew that the makeup room was always recorded, so he clearly stated, apparently, this room is bugged, which I assume Skip does every time he walks into any room. And then he said he would hate for her to lose her job, but she can't keep doing a big thing to my arch rival. That's what it was.
This is, by the way, well, Shannon is still at Fox. They are still doing the show together.
Yeah, my arch rival. It's insane. She said that being polite to Shannon's part of her job. He said, bullshit. I'm calling bullshit on you. So this is just an episode of Undisputed right now.
Yeah, that sucks. Yeah.
I mean, this is awesome. It's just Skip. This is insane.
Yeah.
He said he doesn't want her to lose her job over this, obviously threatening. She responded she wasn't going to lose her job because she's a great hairdresser. He responded, I have love for you. I have for 6 years, and you hurt me, and you are ruining this. She said she's polite to all talent. He implied that if he stopped requesting her, it would affect her job. She said she's scheduled to work every morning. If he would like his hair done, he's welcome to come and do it, essentially. Skip continued to threaten the job, and she's saying he was pressuring her to have sex with him. Certainly seems that way. So a few days later, so that was April 17th. This is now April 21st. Skip asked if she would come to his home to color his hair, which is something she had been doing with Skip's wife there as well. So that's not really out of the ordinary. But she said no, she would no longer be going to his home. Following week, Skip arrived in the makeup room as if nothing happened, but she remained on edge. She was having nightmares about this. We find out later she has PTSD from something we don't know. Oh, it says it right there. So certainly, could be triggering something for sure.
Yeah, let's dive into that section a bit because I think that's going to be the one that gets the most news. There's a lot of stuff to talk about there too. One, again, to highlight, that seems there's also mention in there of I've read in different places that there's mention of her having something recorded. It seems like that comes from this section.
Yep, she said right away when she walked in the room, she turned on a recording device. Yeah, and that's when Skip walked in and said, "This room is bugged."
Correct. So good eye, Skip. Yeah. And then said all this bullshit anyway. But so good catch, bad decision making, which does feel like Skip Bayless. Two, also with all of this happening, I think this is a good section to also point out, like, often what happens with complaints like this is, why'd you wait so long? How's the detail? Another good section to remind, this feels clearly like something that was previously reported. All the detail on different pieces. So I don't think it's a lack of attempting to report. I think the concise nature of this report and the consecutive days, I think that's a piece of that, is this was probably already reported in some way, and she doesn't find that they responded to it, which also makes sense. I also think in all this, there's going to be a lot of focusing on, did that payment ever get thrown out there? Other things. I think the grossest part that feels like it happened in all of this is the implication that there will be consequences if you don't have sex with me.
Yep. Yeah, he's using his power as a way.
100%.
And I mean,
and even if you're not sleeping with Shannon Sharp, I'm going to say you are, which, by the way, he comes out later to say a bunch of shit about Shannon Sharp, whether it's true or not. So I do believe that could have been on the table as well.
Again, truly speculation. I believe he does believe she's sleeping with Shannon. I believe it's because the Dixon guy told him, which is what is alleged in this. So, either that happened because he wanted this chick fired because she knew that he was doing all this shit to other women. So Dixon's just trying to figure out how to get this girl fired, basically. And it seems like that Peretti lady, her job is to get this girl fired, it feels like. She's targeted because of her ethnicity and disability. All this is, English isn't her first language. People are making fun of that. Joy Taylor is now making fun of that. Now that she knows more, Joy is no longer on friendly terms with her. And because of her PTSD, she starts humming just out of nowhere. That's a way for her to cope. She doesn't know she does it. Happens more when she's stressed. And Joy is now saying how much she hates it, even though everybody knows about it. And then now Joy is saying she needs a black hairstylist because this woman doesn't know how to do black hair. And we need to remind everybody, Joy specifically requested her to do her hair years ago. She's been doing hair on her the entire time. So that's clearly a lie. That's all this section is, essentially.
A lot of that. Yep, a lot of that, and a lot of, harassment type behavior, which, is one of the allegations in there. So
right. 2023, so you can see how recent this gets. Miss Peretti, again, this is the lady who has some authority, but it seems like her only job is to get the hairdresser fired.
Yeah.
She went into her office, said Miss Taylor, Joy Taylor doesn't have any more need for her as a hairstylist. Explained that she was to work only 4 hours and then go home, essentially. When the hairdresser said, I thought I was supposed to do touch-ups, the lady said she's spoken to all of the talent and there's no more need for touch-ups, asked if she did something wrong. And then Miss Peretti said, you remind me of my dog. When I take my dog out, he barks at bigger dogs like you. And then apparently the hairdresser cries and says, because that's the most offensive insult, is to call somebody a dog. I think she missed the point. She's not calling her a dog. She's just saying she doesn't understand her role, essentially. She's saying, know your role and shut your mouth.
I think it can be in the midst of these other allegations. I agree with you that it's not as damning as some of the other stuff, but it can be hurtful to be like, they made a comparison to me of a dog. I also, the only thing I was going to say there with this section is some of these allegations are weaker than others in terms of outcome, but I think some of that is like, I turned all of this in and nothing happened with any of it, so I'm resubmitting it here.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The important part about this is, one, she continues to get harassment about who she is, essentially.
From seemingly everybody.
Yeah. Seemingly everybody. This section, I feel like, does not paint her well.
No, correct. Yeah.
Well, no, I just mean this part right here. This whole thing is about how she's getting targeted because she can't speak English well. This is from her diary with a bunch of typos. So maybe she can't speak English very well. I'm just saying that shouldn't have been included. But
maybe it illustrates her point. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. In this part, the big thing is she spoke to everybody. Nobody needs touch-ups. Later on, this turns out to not be true. She, again, is just systematically reducing her role in order to fire her. Because later on, whether we talk about it or not, everyone's saying, hey, why aren't you here for touch-ups? We want you to do stuff. And then she's like, oh, apparently there's a miscommunication because she spoke to everybody about it and said nobody did. This turns out to be a lie. That's the biggest part of that.
Yeah.
She participates in an internal investigation only to be singled out, taken off a speak, and then accused of having sex with Skip. So Miss Drucker, as Fox's vice president of employee relations, had a meeting, asked if Joy was sleeping with Acho. She admitted the two were doing that. Didn't think it was a big deal because they had similar amounts of power. Didn't think he would physically harm her or anything like that. Acho was respectful to the hairdresser, never threatened her, yada, yada, yada. So she's just giving information in the section, basically making it known how much she actually knows, which makes her a bigger target, obviously. Unnamed person making public comments, accused her, asked her if she made public comments about Dixon and Taylor having sex. She became very scared because he had previously assaulted her, stuff like that. Everyone at the company knew about the relationship. She didn't think any information, coming out was new and stuff like that. She began crying. Investigation regarding her humming, apparently, because everyone's complaining about it, essentially just Joy Taylor. Miss M threatening to kill her. That was the person at the table who called her a Persian bitch. People mocked her language. Basically, everything is coming out to HR once again, essentially. Yada, yada, yada. Miss Peretti, evil lady, again, told 8 of her co-workers to not talk to the hairdresser because she has a pending case with HR. She was confused because she didn't think there was a pending case, because all she was asked about was Joy Taylor sleeping with Dixon and Acho. Okay, on October 21st, that Miss Drucker lady asked Skip for a meeting. Skip arrived. Skip told Skip right away not to worry, his job is safe. They began interrogating him, asked if he had a romantic relationship with the hairdresser and whether she offered him sex. Skip answered truthfully, said that she never offered him sex. They again said, hey, your job is not at jeopardy here, wink, wink, heavily implying to him that they wanted him to say, hey, she was actually being inappropriate with him instead of the other way around. For 20 minutes, he just said, the truth. Mr. Dixon asked Skip and asked why he didn't just lie about it. Yeah. Skip said that he cares about her. Dixon said, who cares? I can get you a better looking hairstylist. So again, evil, sexual, deviant. Skip is standing up for her. Is it because he actually cares about her? Is it because he just wants to have sex with her? That is up for you to decide. But Skip is essentially telling the truth instead of just easily getting her fired.
And the implication is that she heard this from Skip, right? I assume.
Yeah.
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 So
later on, they talk about.
They clarify that. Yeah. So
that's true. She learns that that Mr. Dixon wants her fired. So Skip learned that Sharp and her never actually had sex, and so that's good.
Confirmed.
So confirmed. Skip pulled her aside. He had to have asked Shannon, I guess.
Yeah.
Skip pulled her aside, apologized for accusing her of that, disclosed his meeting with HR, which is the one we just talked about, discussed that Mr. Dixon wants her fired because she knew too much and she was talking about it. Skip also said Mr. Dixon kept his wife on payroll to keep her silent about his affairs with employees, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So good guy Skip in a way. And then Skip says, hey, do you want to go out to dinner and keep talking about this?
Yeah.
And then she said no. October 18th, Skip told her that Mr. Dixon was continuing to push him to ask for a different hairstylist, but Skip refused. So again, Skip's like, hey, I have your back. Again, using his power, saying,
please
without me, there's nothing. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
She wrote in her diary, I feel desperate, don't know how to save my job. Mr. Dixon's the big boss. I'm a hairstylist with no power. Skip said that Joy is telling Mr. Dixon to get rid of him or rid of her. That's crazy.
Mhm.
A couple days later, Skip told her again that Mr. Dixon threatened Skip's job because he continuously requested her, stating that he would rather have another pretty girl over Skip on Undisputed. So Dixon's trying to replace Skip now at this point.
Mhm.
Month later, Skip told her that he loves her and that Mr. Dixon was the one that told him that she's sleeping with Shannon Sharp. So Dixon's stirring the pot. Skip loves this lady, apparently. She told Skip that she's only interested in a professional relationship and being a friend. Yeah.
He said,
Fox
"You have
is
no idea you're losing everything." Just want to highlight that of like it kind of ends on another threatening statement. Yeah.
Another threatening statement is what it is. Skip's just saying, without me, you got nothing. You're a single mom. You know, hey, I got this big sum of money, apparently, if you sleep with me.
Yeah.
So she supported a coworker in another racist thing. Is what it is. Just more systematic racism and discriminatory things going on. And then eventually now she's fired. We're talking about June 24th, 2024. So very recent here, half a year ago. She found out that Undisputed was going to be canceled and that Skip was going to be fired. She grew anxious that Dixon was just trying to get her fired. Later that week, she was giving Skip a haircut. During the haircut, Skip said he has a new opportunity he was expecting outside of Fox. She asked if he was going to come back to Undisputed. He replied, of course. Bayless then told that he fantasizes about having sex with her, how much money it would take for her to have sex with him. She said that she already refused $1.5 million. Her answer was not going to change. Skip said, the more you say no, the more I want you. Crazy.
They literally, it's like a seminar. It's like,
I know,
here's all the things
I know.
terrible people say.
That's why it's like, this is a cartoon. It's like, it's turned up to 11, like the worst versions of everybody here, or the most innocent version of everybody.
It's what happens when nothing's addressed, right? Like we just keep coming to the same behavior.
True. August 2nd, so a couple months later, Undisputed canceled, Skip fired. She was taken off the schedule. Evil Lady said the hairdresser, there's no longer a need for the hairdresser. Skip asked her to walk him to his car on the way out. She felt she had no other choice but to do so. At the car, they noticed Mr. Dixon was in the parking lot looking at them. And Skip said to her, I assume loudly, but who knows, fuck Mr. Dixon. If you want to sue them, go for it. Fuck them. He's not going to sleep tonight. Mr. Dixon's not. Mr. Dixon's scared of what I'm going to tell you. Fuck him. So no, Skip has a vendetta against that guy.
Yeah.
She reached out to Fox, asked why she was taken off the schedule. She explained that even though Undisputed was canceled, she had worked for the Herd for 5 years, Speak for 1 year, and people continued to request her. Fox did not bring a response, but they said they would investigate the issue. Again, talent asked for her to give him a haircut. And so she's like, I don't know what to do. I'm not on the schedule. I'm not getting paid. Contacted Fox saying, hey, this guy wants me to give him a haircut. Fox did not say anything, just said they're going to investigate it. A few days after that, after finishing their investigation, Fox was able to provide that they can only afford one hairdresser to work on all 3 shows. And Fox systematically refused her work schedule, terminated her employment, and removed her using fabricated business necessities as a pretext, essentially. So what we talked about before, they just slowly reduce the role until she's no longer important. And that's about it. She's going through fit therapy. She is like dumping all this stuff out. Following her departure from Fox, Skip began featuring his wife on his podcast. The belief is that he changed his cell phone number. I don't know why this is included without actual like evidence, but maybe there is evidence. The belief is that he changed his cell phone number to remove all of the sexual texts and stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, that's about it. Talent continues to request her at Fox. And then she cites this Twitter post, which I don't think is relevant, but she said Colin Cowherd, worst person in the lawsuit, tweets out if he should get a haircut. 63% of people think he should. And I don't know why that supports her case, but apparently it does. So a lot of interesting things here.
Yeah. I think the only interesting thing there is I think there's a route this goes where Cowherd and others at Fox could end up calling out some of the things that have been happening. That could be a wink, wink, nudge of like, I'm publicly trying to, maybe without getting into the allegation side of things, that's Cowherd being like, it is a BS reason you were fired. Like, I literally need a haircut.
Yeah. Yeah.
It kind of reminds me. It kind of reminds me when no one gave. I'm so sorry. I'm always terrible with names. Who's the current Vikings defensive coordinator?
Flores.
When no one gave Flores any interviews, and Bill Belichick happened to like leak a text thread that was like congratulating the wrong Brian.
Congrats on the Giants job.
Yeah,
I didn't get that job. All right, cool. Okay, well,
yeah, it seems like maybe a little bit of a. All right, here's for your court filing.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's very true. But yeah, so again, this lawsuit, the majority of it is actually the class action for a bunch of employees for not paying wages, systematically reducing stuff like that. Blah 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 blah. Gary said, "More shocked that Skip ain't gay." There's such a thing called a beard. So, I mean, that's not out of the question yet. Who knows? But obviously, this is being framed as a Skip Bayless lawsuit. I think he's certainly a part of this, right? He's the biggest name in this. But the biggest villain, Mr. Dixon,
correct.
He's the worst person. Bobby Diaz is second. That guy is fired. He is going to be fired. And then Joy Taylor is using everybody over at Fox, sleeping her way to the top. And I don't know. It feels like Dixon has to be out. Bobby Diaz is going to be a scapegoat for sure. Joy probably out. Don't you think? Like, why would somebody keep her around?
I think there's a world. Listen, I think there's a world where she's for sure out of this. I honestly think it depends on the order of what happens, because I could see definitely it's like Charlie Dixon is going to want her out.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, she has no friends there at this point. Then
correct, but if he goes first, do they keep her? I think I agree that she's probably out. The only thing I'm leaving open there is she going to be part of different parts of this lawsuit? Weirdly, on the other end, because she cited her own allegations.
She'll try.
For sure. So, but I still think that sees her probably not with the company, but we'll see. I mean, who knows what a big uproar this is. You mentioned this earlier, so I'm just going to tie a bow on it. This is obviously, I think most people have already connected these dots, right? Like, not the first where smoke, there's fire with Fox at a large glance, and not even Fox Sports. I got the name while you were talking. Jamie Horowitz is the former executive who hired Charlie Dixon.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he was dismissed amid sexual assault allegations. And then obviously history of Fox News and larger Fox products of allegations in the same realm as well. So this all ties back to, I think, in terms of demonstrating a culture, I think most people were probably, it sucks. I heard this and I was like, yep, that's real. I heard all of this and I was like, not surprised, which freaking stinks. I also think like the fact that leaving her job was not an option, and like that wasn't gonna, she needed the job. Like,
right. Yeah. I mean, she was like the underlying theme here is power dynamic, right? Like, correct. She had zero power. She needs this, and everybody else has full power over her.
Yeah. Yeah, and the fact that I'm assuming that many more allegations are going to come out connected to this, or at least more details about the class action parts of this and what those highlight. I don't necessarily know if this is going to be a string of, 10 other women come forward, but I do think that it could be,
There's They also mentioned later in the lawsuit, like instances of other things happening, not necessarily there. I think there's one more Fox one. There was an NFL Network one where they like accused certain people. This is like old shit, right? Like other people who have. Do I got it here? I don't, but it seems like certainly women in sports, right? That's always a conversation. It seems like if the woman isn't being the victim in terms of being passed around as a scoreboard, then they are the fucking problem and sleeping their way to the top. Like there's always something wrong about something at this point, which is an interesting way to frame everything. I almost wonder, like Fox has an easy out here with the class action stuff, at least with her. Like she got hurt, she was replaced, she came back, and her role wasn't very big. So I almost wonder how far this is even going to go. Like from Fox's point of view, there's a lot of things they can just be like, hey, this is the facts. And we're not going to pay two people to do one person's job.
Yeah, 100%.
Fox is an easy out.
I also think there's so much in this. This is heading towards settlement, and we won't really. For sure. I think that's where this wraps up. So I think they have some outs in terms of the wrongful termination allegations. I think the piece that feels like it is provable because it's such a clear part of this, but maybe it's not, is what's not shown in this allegation is I'm assuming she has proof of like, you're making up the fact that you could, like, did they hire 2 more hairstylists the next week? Something like that. Like that's not included here, but that feels like you waited 8 days to give me a reason. I have all this evidence showing that you were looking for reasons to fire me ahead of time. Does that also blow in the wind? Like they hire more hairstylists a month later.
I think there might be something about that. I'm not sure where it is. I feel like that was actually stated in this.
Yeah.
Because August 6th, finishing investigation, they fired her, said that there wasn't guided by his attorneys. Fox then implemented a revised schedule assigning a single hairdresser to cover all 3 shows for approximately 3 months. There we go. So they did a new schedule after she was out, put one hairdresser on all 3 shows that we talked about for 3 months. Once Fox believed that was enough time to justify actions from a legal standpoint, they reverted to their long-standing schedule, which included one hair and makeup person in the morning and then another in the afternoon, which is what it was before.
Yeah.
So they only did the one person for 3 months, and they're like, oh, okay, that's enough. Legally, you can be like, hey, then there's a new need, and then they brought in another person. So that
would be the only thing. If it hits court, they'll have to prove financial strain for those 3 months, and maybe they're able to. So,
COVID. You can just put it on that, I guess.
So, we're making less money. Skip's not here, so
honestly, yeah.
So, I don't know. It's all of it's gross. I think it's wild. It's like there's almost no one at Fox that wasn't mentioned.
I never know his name. The guy who
Nick
loves
Emmanuel.
LeBron. Who?
Nick Emmanuel, is that his name? Nick something?
Nick something. I can't remember his name. It's Emmanuel Acho.
Nick Wright.
Yeah. He wasn't mentioned. I wish he was. Like,
I almost mentioned that at one point of like if Nick Wright pops up here.
What did he do?
We got to talk about the Chiefs, but
true.
A lot of the big names are in here, so I think there's that, and like also like again the power dynamics, but also just I think it's literally impossible to report anything here. That's the other thing coming up is like I can't get Bobby Diaz fired.
He feels the most safe out of anybody because he supplies cocaine. That's it.
But it's like that part is striking to me of like that and other things to you kept saying cartoonish, which is so correct of like I want to advocate for these other things, and Skip Bayless is my biggest ally in some of this, and he keeps inviting me to his car for sex.
Skip, pick a new meeting point.
Allegedly. Yeah, it's
we're vibing so well right now. I'm telling you all this stuff. We should go to dinner and just keep the conversation going. No, Skip. You were almost the good guy in the story. Stop it. No.
Just I know. And several times being like, don't worry, I got your back. Do you have my front? Do you yeah. I heard you're not having sex with Shannon.
We should hug it out. I don't know. Like, is this weird? Are we feeling the spark too? Skip, come on. I do. The thing with Shannon makes it the most believable thing of all time.
100%. Calling Shannon his most hated adversary and arch rival. Well, they are still on TV together for another year.
God. I mean, that part of the conversation, we should be able to assume is word for word because she recorded it. So, like, she should have that recording. So maybe that's why that was so detailed and hit Skip's tone so perfectly, because we can listen to it.
Yeah, repeating bullshit 8 times in a row.
Bullshit. You fucked him, my arch rival.
Being told that, and like those parts are maybe going to be the most legally damning. Some of the parts that Skip will maybe. It'll be interesting when this hits. Now, will Skip still enforce some of those things, like everything he heard from Charlie Dixon, everything, hearing that of like, if Skip co-ops this in sense of, Dixon came to me and said, why wouldn't you just lie about this? That's done. Mm-hmm. That part's over. Like if Skip comes out and like, a real conversation that happened, then that would be the end of Dixon. But we'll see if that still gets defended in that way when it's baked into all the allegations about Skip. We'll see.
And Skip could argue that wasn't me. That was Drip Bayless. There's two different people. Drip Bayless does what he wants, says what he wants. He's a money maker. He's a money mover. Skip Bayless went to bat for her. Drip Bayless wanted to be in her. 2 different people.
I also, hold on. When did Skip go to Fox Sports?
Fox? I mean, it was in there. So she was there already, I believe, once he arrived.
Yeah. I 100%. You're going to know what I mean right away when I say this. Yes, September 2016. So this is essentially not new news. I just wanted to make sure I was getting my facts right. The whole time. This is essentially like day one, the last day, this was happening. There was never a moment where Skip was part of Fox Sports that this person was not.
Correct.
Which is also like, what are we doing? So that's also, it's baked in, right?
It's
not a bug of the system, a feature of the system, it seems.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's allegations going back far before Skip. With that, the Mr. Dixon saga started before Skip was there.
Correct. Jamie Horowitz hired him in like 2017. So
earlier, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but
hold on. When was that? No, he left in 2017. Gotcha. 2015, he hired him. So again, this system kind of seems to match up with that. So, and that's the big expansion of Fox Sports. I mean, that's when that's all building up. So I think 2 things are very, very intertwined. And then Shannon Sharpe would go on to leave and have a live sex celebration.
And Skip's like, is that with her? No, it's not. Okay, cool.
It's unreal. And like, by the way, obviously all of this coincides with the racism allegations Shannon has made as well. Both publicly and privately. So it's gross. In terms of what happens next, that was my only other question. Do you think that part where it's basically tying together, it feels a little bit of a stretch where she's basically maybe laying the groundwork. I also think maybe they fired Skip because he was defending me.
Yeah.
Feels a bit of a stretch, but like, I wonder if that could be a route this goes. If it's like Skip thought he was going to come back, that seemed to be true in real life. And
that's exactly what that says. She found out supposedly that Undisputed wasn't getting brought back.
Yeah.
She then meets with Skip and says, hey, I have this other stuff happening outside. Then she asked specifically, are you coming back to Undisputed? He said, of course. But also during this entire thing, Mr. Dixon keeps saying, please lie about this stuff so we can fire her. Skip continues to say, no, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to do this. And then Dixon threatens Skip's job, according to Skip. So,
yeah.
For sure, like the groundwork is laid that Skip somehow was fired because of this as well, which is insane if true.
Yeah, and also what a good maybe bow on all of it, which is how complicated when you really get into it. Like Skip Bayless is one of the prime, alleged figures in this, and he may have also lost his job for failing to defend some of the behavior. Like it's like Skip Bayless, perpetrator of behavior, may have been let go partially because he was unwilling to help her get fired.
Well, I think that's for sure true. It comes down to who knows information about the wrongdoings of everything, and who's willing to play ball. And at that point, when Skip wasn't willing to lie anymore, it seems like he wasn't willing to play ball and cover up all the bad shit. And that's when you become disposable.
God,
and that's why no wrongdoing by Colin Cowherd. He's just like floating around here and has not heard anything. He has not heard anything. He's covering up.
I think that's worth looking into. I think it's worth looking into. Right now, I'm gonna believe when the victim involved is like the one person she's saying don't go after. For now, I'm gonna call off the dogs.
All she's saying is
good guy.
She used the wrong words. She's just saying he was nice to me. He didn't make fun of my accent, but he's been there long enough.
Yeah,
he did something. You know what I mean? He dapped up Mr. Dixon every time he saw him.
Yeah. I mean, listen, that's the real thing. Acho's mentioned in this. Who didn't know about this? I think that's very real.
Well, apparently she's been there for a decade and doesn't know Acho works there. So on one hand, everybody knows everything, but on the other hand, nobody knows anybody. So,
at least the people non-power. I can somewhat see that in the sense of she's trying to go to work, man. She's trying not to she's trying just to do people's hair. So I don't know. And also, this is obvious, but I'm going to say it because we're talking about it now, and it's a good connection to make. It is gross that everything we've said was a part of the Bill O'Reilly allegations. Everything that's come up, it's God damn, Fox. Why is this all the same thing?
Well, here's the thing. And it does also feel like the same thing with Fox. It feels like all the same thing everywhere. And I think that's
such a good point. That's such a good point. Yeah. I'm with, that are one area of sexual harassment allegation happening. So
seems like for some reason everywhere where there's people in power and people just trying to cut it.
Yeah.
There seems to be a power dynamic issue.
Yes. And somehow it's never reported accurately.
For some reason, the people in power who are the evil geniuses, they nail their HR hires. They nail it. Like they never fuck that up. They somehow are always subservient, just like perfect. They play ball all the time. I don't know how that is. Like the HR people, there's no moral compass with the HR hires ever.
I'm sorry I just made that noise into the microphone. I couldn't contain it. This is not what this is about. This is going to feel like a pot shot, but it's worth noting because my point was going to be, it also seems like all of the consequences for these folks are temporary. And to make that point, I was like, I wonder what Jamie Horowitz is up to right now.
What is it?
President and co-founder of Omaha Productions.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's all everywhere, man. It's like try finding someone who's not involved, and that's not a defense of it, but it's like it just doesn't go away. I don't. That's not an allegation on the Mannings or anything there because I haven't looked into it.
Correct,
enough, but it doesn't. I knew he was going to be somewhere.
Right. Yeah. That's interesting.
It bums me out that it wasn't just ESPN again, so I could hit him with a stick. But
I know.
because I like
Eli
the
keeps him in line, though. You kidding me?
Cooper
Archie's
hired him.
probably Cooper. Archie would fucking kick his ass if anything happened.
Yeah, and listen, I don't know enough about it. I don't know the vetting and even what he was fully held accountable for. So
truly don't know.
Yeah, but just an example of pick a name from this and see where they work in 2 years.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Who's not a woman?
Well, true.
Joy Taylor may never work somewhere again.
I think she will, because even like Aaron Andrews is doing stuff. But usually, here's the thing. Usually, it's like you get in trouble for this stuff at ESPN, and then you go to Fox. So now, if you get in trouble with this at Fox, you go to the stadium or something like that, or you go up to Canada or something.
I'm telling you, Sage Steele, come home. We're better now.
So you're correct that everyone here, like, you can't truly get canceled when people are just going to continue to listen to you or see you. But Skip now, though, is this the end of Skip? Because that's a possibility because of his age and because of his character. Like, I'm talking the character he plays. Like, this coming out doesn't really work with that.
No one liked working with him anyway. Like, that's another mix of this. It's not Saint Skip. So I think so, unless he finds the right friend to play ball with and like hits that off. But he's already like, it is the end of Skip on cable television. But like, his show will remain. Yeah, he's got his podcast.
Sure.
It's hard to tell what's going to break waves with like his audience. Like, I could see people who have decided to stick with him after all of the Shannon stuff, you know, I think are going to look at this and probably point out the parts where Skip was good guy.
Yeah. I mean, there are parts. That's why it's like Skip did 2 wrongs and then 1 right every step. It's
also, I'm not saying this is nothing. I'm just saying that this is part of the playbook and sad that it is part of it. I unfortunately think Skip's going to get on the show with his wife. And his wife's going to be like, we're good. And everyone's going to be like,
that was mentioned.
100%. But I'm just pointing it out of like, same thing that happens when, to mention a guy who's also in the news, when Tyreek Hill was receiving allegations and other football players of hitting women, then that person comes forward and says, well, it happened, but I'm cool with it. And everybody moves on. And it's not, the behavior isn't any better, but like there's a victim mentality that perpetuates that. And we stay here. Like, Skip's wife's going to come forward and be like, who hasn't Skip slept with? We're going to be like, oh, good.
Skip needs to, is Skip's wife going to be his new debate partner? Because she's the new arch enemy.
Yeah. Maybe. He only has relationships with people he also hates. I don't know.
Yeah.
And also, I guess the only thing I know in this is that Skip wasn't having an affair. So I'm not going to allege anything so far because he was
That's
trying.
True. He tried. That's all he has to say. I did not sleep with her. What do you want me to do?
100%.
I tried.
Yeah.
Did my best.
Yeah, true. So don't let me. I'm going to retract that. I have no idea if Skip is having an affair. I know an attempt was made, but
That's true. You know what? Honey, I didn't do it. I offered $1.5 million. I sacrificed our future.
You can read this whole document where she says it doesn't happen.
True. And Shannon, same thing, apparently. Allegedly.
Yeah, true. Only one who says it happens is freaking Mr. Dixon. Also, can we get names that aren't Bond villains?
Yeah, I know. Come on.
Skip Bayless and Charlie Dixon. Like, it's like we're going to go through the Joy Taylor. It's literally a script of Friday Night Lights. Anything we want to highlight here that we haven't covered? This is, by the way, as we've been talking about this, thanks everyone who's listened. We've been laughing through it because there's a lot of extremes here. I'll end on the part that is hopefully obvious, but it's good to be blatant with it. My heart and support goes out to the folks who are reporting this and going through it, and the folks who are currently there too scared to report it. And going through similar things in other companies. This sucks. I hope whatever happens next advocates for folks to feel like we're reporting things. And I also encourage, as we learn more details about this, that you've made good points going through this. There's no lawsuit like this where every part is validated, and that doesn't mean that it wasn't worth making. I think that's going to be the part that gets blown up is like, let's say Skip never made a $1.5 million offer, or there's no verification of that.
Yeah.
And then everything else is settled. Well, then something still happened. So like, let's give credence to the behavior that's happening here, the root of it, because that's clearly present. But I'm just sorry that this had to reach this point. And God, I can't believe Skip Bayless has been on our TVs for 20 fucking years.
Probably more, right? Or is it only 20?
No, more than that. When was his freaking Jordan article?
It all goes back to that, yeah.
I'll look that up, but that's early 2000s. So
as much as we hate him, I do love Skip Bayless. He serves it. He's probably served his purpose. We can probably be done with Skip Bayless, but boy, there's plenty of Skip Bayless moments I will look back on fondly, and this is all par for the course, in my opinion. It is what it is. But yeah, that lawsuit, again, it was a cartoon. Everyone's personalities were turned up to 11. I think everything's valid in there. I think everything was exaggerated to a little bit of a degree. Did Skip offer $1.5 million in earnest? Probably not. Did he offer money to sleep with her? Probably. Like that's what we have to like think about for all of this. Was that one lady who stood up and called her a Persian bitch and threatened to kill her with a glass? Did that happen? That one seems pretty true because she was also fired for being unhinged and stuff like that. So a lot of interesting stuff.
And to that point, just to finish on it, for all of the reasons we've mentioned, both on screen and off screen, Skip Bayless is everywhere. Every sports company has 5 Skip Baylesses now, even if
and a Mr. Dixon.
And a Mr. Dixon. Oh God, you could Google who the Mr. Dixons are. It's a bummer. I can search the title.
And the Joy Taylors also seem unfortunately very obvious as well.
Man, you know what I miss? This is a wild place where my brain went. I miss where the wildest story involving this kind of stuff was when we were all in the NBA bubble and we're like, did Jimmy have sex?
No, he was practicing his dribbling.
Dribbling in the middle of the night. She would never. All the allegations. What's her name?
Erin Andrews.
That's not Erin Andrews.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Or no.
You were doing that earlier too. I think
Rachel
ESPN.
Nichols.
Rachel.
That's
Nichols.
what I meant. Not Erin Andrews. Erin Andrews is good. I apologize.
Rachel Nichols called out earlier. I'm like, what the fuck did Erin Andrews do? But
she did nothing. I take that back.
Rachel Nichols dribbling practice, middle of the night. Google it.
Yes.
I miss those days.
I do too. I mean, we talked about that a lot. That's a very funny story.
That poor security guard.
But
that
was a great story.
We do have a chat for anyone joining us who wants to get thoughts in, but otherwise, Zach, I think we briefly wrap up on some NFL stuff and then we get out of here unless folks have other thoughts and things to go through on this.
Yeah, if you're listening, definitely comment anything, whether it be football that we talk about right now or about the lawsuit, anything and everything. If you want me to look at something in the lawsuit, I can bring it up as well. But Jake, at the very beginning of the season for the NFL, we decided to do a draft, and we each drafted 12 teams.
Yeah.
Let me see. We each drafted 12 teams each, not who would have the most wins, but the exact opposite. Who would have the fewest wins? We went and drafted 12. Should I go through our teams before I give the results now that 18 weeks are in the books?
Yes, because I will say my team mounted a bit of a comeback.
It did. You'll see Jake's team didn't get off on the right foot, but we each had some very good and some very bad picks, I would say. My team going from first pick to last pick, and we did snake draft style, I believe. So I went Panthers, Broncos, Patriots, Giants, Washington, Seattle, Miami, Saints, Colts, Browns, Jaguars, Rams. Jake was in his JJ McCarthy era.
The worst start to this draft. Terrible start to this draft.
Jake went Vikings, not a great one to start with, but then he went Raiders, Falcons, Bucks, Titans, who have the first overall pick now, Cardinals, Bears, Chargers, Jets, Bengals, Cowboys, Packers. So the total wins for your team were 95. So 95 divided by 12, that's the average, whatever that is. Mm-hmm. Wins for my team, 82. So
damn.
Did win. I was going to, so I win the regular season. Do we want to do something different, similar, or something completely different for the playoffs? We could do individual players, stats, something like that. If we want to draft, do we want to do teams? There's a lot of things we could do.
That does break down to about a difference of 1 win per team. I just wanted to get that math.
No, I'm not. I don't think we should do who has the fewest.
No, sorry. I was just saying for our actual
gotcha.
results. That was the difference in ours. Was all of your teams had about 1 more.
Right. 13 different. So, yep, that's true.
Damn, that is the quicker way to do that math. I did the divisions and I was like, oh, look at that. Pretty even. But for the playoffs.
Your issue, remember your strategy going in, you're like, I'm going to take every NFC South team because
they're
not good.
Yeah.
The issue is you took 2 and I took the bottom 2. So that's where that big difference.
When you had a great end to your draft, some of your late picks ended up, I also think, saving you, where it's like my middle ended up being really good because I was hedging bets, but your finish with grabbing the Browns near the end.
Yeah. Browns and Jags.
Yeah.
Just got,
Yeah.
I felt very good about the Dolphins. Remember, I was very adamant that they would miss the playoffs. And then yesterday I got nervous that they would make the playoffs because I'm like, they don't deserve this. What are we doing?
Honestly, my Bengals pick almost saved me, and then they got their act together for no reason, boys. What did it do for you? Nothing. Could have helped me out.
Yeah, you had a good middle with Titans, obviously, great pick. Bears, you got directly in the middle. And then Jets, you got obviously at the very end too. So
good middle pick. But for the playoffs, I think there's some fun ways to do it. Do you have any ideas? I can spitball some otherwise.
Well, if we want to continue with the theme of wanting to pick bad performances, maybe we could do like a draft of whoever has the fewest passing yards, just because maybe not like total, maybe it's a per game thing. So we have something to root for till the end. If we want to do like individual player stats somehow, not necessarily passing yards, but or we could flip it around, just root for touchdowns, root for yards, root for something like root for fumbles, turnovers. Doesn't matter.
I think we could do that. I think we could do wins. It'll obviously be a shorter sample size, but we could each pick 5 teams. So not the full 14, but we'd end up picking 10 of the 14 teams and be like, these are our losers for sure.
Okay.
Basically, like, who's got no chance in this playoffs? This is our no chance draft.
Okay. And if we want to have fewest wins again?
We want to have fewest wins, which obviously is a low number.
Yeah. And because it also, you have to throw in technically the 2 best teams have bye weeks.
So they could get no wins. You could take them. Like, that's why I like 5 each, because we're leaving 4 off the board. So we could leave, just the highest seeds.
Let's do that. Let me write down all the teams here. So for
look at it.
The AFC, we got, just going off my memory, we got Chiefs, we got Houston, we got Baltimore. The other division winner is Buffalo, technically. Then we got Chargers, Denver, and Pittsburgh.
That joke is as old as the show, by the way. I went back and listened to one of the first episodes, and that's the one where I said the Bears are technically leading the division.
Yeah, so good. Technically, we both knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
NFC. So we got Detroit, Minnesota, Green Bay. Then we got Tampa,
Rams,
Philadelphia,
Washington.
Yes. Okay. I will give you the first pick. So we're doing 10 teams.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so this feels like each of us should have a surefire loser. And I'm looking at some of the lower seeds, like who's just going to get whopped. I think for me, do I go with heart or head? I'm going to go with the team that I think is playing the best team at this time. So I'm going to go for my first pick, no wins. I'm going to go Denver Broncos.
That's fair. That's good. Should we do it where we just truly just go every other?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't need to do snake draft style. Give you the advantage here.
I was thinking snake.
Nah. I won regular season. Gotta give you a chance here. So I'm gonna go Packers. They play Philadelphia. I don't think they have a chance.
2 7 seeds off the board. I think that's correct. I had a coin flip. You took my other one off. I'm gonna go with the next team that's playing terrible right now. Kind of hope I'm wrong, but the Ravens can be playing better and the Steelers can be playing worse. I'm gonna pick the Steelers next.
Yeah, that's very true. That's where I would have gone as well. Okay. Next. So Washington plays Tampa, right?
Washington plays Tampa. So this is where it gets tricky. Some of these matchups are a little tougher. Like, yes, I don't know how confident I am in like them or the Texans, but
I'm a believer in Harbaugh. So I'm going to go with Houston. Houston's also not playing well. I'm going to go they lose right away.
That might have been where I go next. Okay.
On you.
I'm going to hedge my bets on this next one a little bit, which is I don't think there's any way this team makes it out of the second round. And I'm going to go directly across from you. I do believe in Harbaugh, but I don't think there's any way they beat the Chiefs.
That's fair.
Are those brackets locked or is it lowest seed remaining?
Lowest seed remaining.
So that never mind. I take that back because it's not as helpful. I am going to just go with the next toughest matchup then, which is Rams. I think they can give the Vikings a run for their money, but even if the Rams are remaining, like I don't love them against any of the division winners.
That is fair. I think I'll just pick the other side of that. Like, again, I think the Vikings could certainly win right away, but I don't think they're going to go anywhere after that. So I'll go Minnesota.
Well, then it didn't end up making much of a difference. Now I'm going to go Chargers. Sure. I don't think the Chargers are going to go too far. So that's what our fifth teams, I think, are going to be the make or break here, Zach, because I think we've kind of swept the board on the easy ones.
I know. My fourth, though, I'm sticking on the NFC side.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go. I mean, I'm looking at one game. I'm just trying to pick who's going to lose it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Washington. I think Washington loses to Tampa.
I agree. And with that said, I gladly take the other half of that coin toss. I will pick Tampa as my fifth pick because maybe they win that first one.
Yeah.
But then, listen, are we riding high off the mojo of getting Mike Evans 1,000 yards and also winning me my fantasy league? Absolutely.
Oh, really?
But beat Claire by 1.5. Thank you.
So it was that last catch?
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome.
So
that's great.
That's what it comes down to, boys. Achievements. So but here I pick them to lose. So Tampa, thanks for everything. Lose quickly.
So I think my Super Bowl pick is the Chiefs and the Eagles. So I am taking both of those out.
Yeah. So your remaining options.
Yes.
Chiefs and Eagles, but it's then Bills, Ravens, Lions.
And Lions. Yeah. So that's where the strategy comes in because Lions have a bye. So do I think the Lions can, if they win 2, I mean, then they're in the Super Bowl. So
yeah.
Like, I don't think that's going to be the case. So Lions are certainly a candidate for me. Ravens always lose these fucking games. So that's why it's like, are the Ravens cursed as well? I just believe in them too much, so I can't do it. I want them to win too much, so I can't do it. The Bills, though, are a fun team to root against. They're always fun because clock is right every year. Not even twice a day. Bills are going to lose. It's just when are they going to lose? So right away, the Bills play. Who they play? Broncos. They could lose to the Broncos.
They could.
That would be a fun team to lose to, too.
Sean Payne and the boys, or as Claire calls him, who's that hot little man?
Is that Sean Payton? Is he the hot little man?
Yes, he really thinks he's cute.
Interesting. Show her the video of him ripping a bong at some frat party.
I forgot about that one.
It's insane. Do I want to pick the Bills or do I want to pick the Lions? I'm going to go Bills. They're more fun to root against. I want the Lions to succeed. So I'm picking with my heart. Lions are probably the smarter pick with all of their injuries and the bye week, but that's fun. So top to bottom, you are rooting against the Broncos, Steelers, Rams, Chargers, and Tampa. That's a solid team. I am rooting against the Packers, Texans, Vikings, Commanders, and Bills.
That's good. You have the highest potential for like success just because if your Vikings or Bills bad hit, it certainly would. It means disaster for one of us. Someone's upset.
That's
somebody.
True. That is true. Yeah, I have some boom or bust picks there.
And actually, both of your that's smart. You didn't do this on purpose, but it's a good strategy by you, which is both of your boomer bust picks are going against people I've picked. So not only would you, I mean, it'll come down to those two games, probably.
Probably. Could the Bills go on a run and this is their year? Sure. Yeah. Could the Vikings do something? No. I'm pretty confident Vikings are going to lose at some point.
I'll be
Could
the
they beat
only
the Rams for sure.
Rooting against Tampa's run. That would stink. Tampa goes on a tear, and I'm like, lose.
I think people are rooting against Tampa in the first game, though, because I think everyone sort of collectively wants to see Washington do well without Snyder. That's fun. And they're playing well. I mean, Tampa could for sure lose that game. I
am the only one rooting against Denver.
Yes. Is that true? I think you're probably right.
Besides Bills Mafia.
Right. I still can't gauge where people, like what people and how people feel about the Bills. Like, I know everyone thinks they're really good. That's the general consensus. I'm not there. But I really think Denver could run for 200 yards against the Bills this weekend and Bills lose. And it would warm my heart.
Bills play people close.
Ooh, that's a fun. I mean, it's Black Monday, so we're talking about coach firings. Bills lose first round. McDermott's done. He's fired, right?
I think so. That's interesting. Okay, who's left where if they lose right away, their coach is out? There will be talk about that with the Packers.
There will be. I don't think it'll happen just because of certain injuries. But if they, I mean, they're the 7th seed. Expectations-wise, they probably shouldn't have any issue.
And actually, I take that back because when the Lions and Vikings, like they got 11 wins with those two teams getting 14 and 15 respectively. So
I think the only person, there's two teams. If they lose right away, there will be a large, there will be motivation to get them out, I think.
And are they both the 2 seeds?
Yeah. I think Philadelphia, obviously, for sure. Yeah. And then the Ravens, if they keep losing right away, I mean, at some point. Is Baltimore the 2 seed or no?
They're the 3.
Oh, no, Buffalo.
The Bills,
Buffalo.
But you've already said them. So, yes, both 2 seeds. And along with that, that game, it's not this year, but if the Steelers lose to Baltimore, it's another in-division playoff loss, and the streak continues where even though he's never had a losing season, Tomlin will have not won a playoff game since 2016.
I know. That's crazy. And if they lose, that's 5 losses to end the year in a row, which is tough. That 3-game stretch, I don't think, like, it is what it is. They were injured. They played 3 teams in 12 days, and it was the Chiefs, the Eagles, and somebody else, Baltimore, I think. Like, that's an insane 3-game stretch in a short period of time without your number 1 receiver. So I don't think Tomlin should be fired, but if they do lose right away, there will be people talking about it for sure.
Yeah. And oh man, I'm I'm looking at who they've lost to that stretch. Okay, we've got they've only, because I wanted to know if it was all in division losses. It's not. It's one. They lost to the Browns in 2020.
Oh,
So
yeah. Baker Mayfield, then the Browns got rid of him.
Yeah, correct. 2017. So there's some gaps. It's 2017. They lose to the Jags.
Okay.
So that's the Bortles run. And then lose to the Browns. They lose to the Chiefs in 2021. They lose to the Bills in 2023. So, I mean, they've run into good teams.
That's been the entire thing, though. They ran into the Patriots before that.
Correct. Well, they kind of choke at the end of the season. Hard Knocks, by the way, been hard to watch. The Steelers portions.
Yeah.
They're falling apart. Tomlin's trying to keep the boys fired up. He doesn't know what's going wrong.
It's true, though. At some point, it's like, we have such a good team. We have a good coaching staff. What is happening?
And these games have been awesome.
They've been good. They're close games.
It's the same way that's like,
man,
Cincinnati, what do we do different next year? I don't know. Be nicer to people, have better karma. What do we got to do?
The Steelers need one more receiver. That's it. They just need one more guy.
And they might be restarting at quarterback.
They might be. That's something, because they lucked into the best deal at quarterback of all time this year.
Yeah.
They could run it back with a cheap quarterback and have it be Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, 100%. Or some of the other names we mentioned pre-show, like they were in the Trey Lance sweepstakes a year ago. Are they back in Trey Lance? If Brock Purdy's numbers right.
Arthur Smith, I think, has experience with Mariota, multiple stints.
How much do they like Kenny Pickett?
Steelers, not at all.
I didn't know. Just wondering.
I mean,
it's the question.
And by the way, I think Kenny Pickett doesn't like the Steelers either. I think it's mutual.
I agree. That feels like Josh Dobbs goes Pro Bowl spot.
It does. It does.
That feels like Drew Lock, actually. Now that I say it out loud.
Drew Lock's great. Drew Lock would be a great pick for Pittsburgh.
White guy.
That does help.
Which, by the way, not their history, but it fits their theme of like the Mitch Trubisky era, as I like to call it. Mitch Trubisky, Mason Rudolph.
Mitch Trubisky's contract with Buffalo is probably coming up.
What a cushy backup spot.
Incredible.
That's
he has
crazy.
lucked into the best job.
Yeah, him and Carson Wentz.
Yeah. Carson Wentz was called upon this week, and it was only to play, a quarter?
Yeah, they wanted to save him. We got to save Carson Wentz, preserve him. No, honestly, you know who's going to get calls? I just saw this. We didn't mention him pre-show. Malik Willis.
Oh, he will for sure, and he should.
Yeah, he's looked good. By the way, nice pivot there. Turn, hand off to Jacobs. Looking good, buddy. There you go.
He would be. They should be able to do just what Justin Fields did with Malik Willis next year. Honestly, those two quarterbacks align in terms of play style, because like with Russ and Fields, is two different offenses. If they went Fields and Malik Willis, that could be cheap and good.
If I were the Pack, this is why I'm not a GM. One of the many reasons why I'm not a GM. If I was the Packers, I would hear all calls on Malik Willis, and I'd ask for a spiteful package from Tennessee. You could have it back.
Yeah, for sure.
Do everything.
You have the first overall pick. That's great. Awesome.
Malik.
Bring it here. Yeah.
100%. It's draft day. It's Kevin Costner. I want all my picks back.
You need a quarterback. Are any of them better than Malik Willis? I would say no. So
I know.
we showed you how to use them.
Yeah.
Just do this. Honestly, what Tennessee should do. Trade for LaFleur and Malik Willis, first round pick. Make LaFleur the offensive coordinator. Malik Willis is the quarterback. You're done.
We bring in Vrabel.
Yes. we get the first overall pick. We trade that for Vrabel after the Patriots sign him. You get the first overall pick now.
Oh, forgot he's obviously going there. No, I know. Zach, I've got two. Let's end strong here. I've got two fun things I researched quick. They're both fast to end the NFL season. They were making such a big point of how folks finished the year in bye. So I took a look at the bye groups to see their is there a bye week you want, Zach? That's really what I researched. Is there a bye week that is most helpful to you? So what I did was looked at folks' winning percentage before and after the break, took the average of those, and then these are the average winning percentage changes from pre-bye to post-bye, week by week. Do you have a guess to throw out there of when you would want your bye?
I would say you don't want it too late. Just because you risk being terrible up until then. Like, I think the Ravens were in a perfect spot for a late bye week, but I would say I'd want it around week 10.
Okay, week 10, 11 were pretty solid. So I think that's a good pick by you. Now, obviously going to go in here. There's some obvious, the better way to do this is maybe sometime I'll do a 5-year sample, see what pops up,
Sure.
over the history. Because some of this it depends on your grouping. However, for percentages, the best one was right away. You get your week 5 bye.
That's interesting. Okay.
And I think it says something because there is something here to good teams who really righted the ship and a bad team that, stayed bad, but was slightly improved. So that grouping, Lions, Chargers, Eagles, Titans. So obviously there's some bias there of some good teams. But going into the week 5 bye, Lions had 1 loss. Eagles were 2-2. Chargers were 2-2. Titans were 1-3. So Titans are the only one of those teams whose winning percentage gets lower because they go 2-11 after the bye. So that percentage drops slightly. Eagles improved by 42 percentage points. The other 2 teams improved by about 20. So that average week, folks improved by about 20% post-bye, which I think makes sense because it's an early, hey, let's get our crap together. Let's breathe. I think the Eagles especially are a good example of and Chargers. Let's figure it out. Take an assessment. So that was the best one.
Okay.
The worst ones, again, small sample size, but it was a 2-week thing. So I think there is some here. Week 7 and week 9, each only had 2 teams on buys.
Okay.
They're the Bears and the Cowboys in week 7. And then the Steelers and the Niners in week 9.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it was the bye week for those 2, but yeah.
Correct. But all that to say, you take that group of 4, even as a group of 4, that average comes down to a negative 30 percentage change for those perfect middle of the weeks. And I think some of that is just the numbers of the season so long now. To have a bye in the middle of the season, it's not like you don't get the end of season push and you don't get the early season reset. I feel like most teams are kind of fricked by then anyway.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. If it comes down to your team stays healthy and you're good to go, I think the middle of the season is probably good. Or late season. But if you do need, the Bengals would have benefited probably from that week 5 bye or something. Let's figure this shit out. Let's reset.
I will say though, the Bengals improved one of the most after their bye because they are 4-7 heading into their week 12 bye. They go 5-1 post bye.
Right. But if they had that bye week in week 5 or 6,
maybe that would have,
because I think they're 1-4 to start the year. If they did that in week 6 or something, then maybe they win out. Who knows?
I would say what I think this tells me, I think those numbers are pretty exaggerated, but I would be surprised if middle buys help anybody. They just don't do much. You're kind of there. It's
just injury wise. That's it.
Yeah, but it just is random if that timing helps you or not. The only other week where there was a negative difference, weirdly, was, and this is definitely grouping because I would say week 10 and 11, that was a +3 percentage change. So it's about a wash. Same with on the flip side, week 12 was the only other negative change. It was a -6 percentage change, but really that comes down to, and that was with the Bengals going on a run, but Falcons, Bills, Jaguars actually slightly improved. So Bills, Falcons, Saints all really go downhill after that bye.
Well, typically, if you're a bad team with a late bye, that bye week is when you make the major change, right?
Correct.
So if you have that young quarterback, if you have whatever, that's when you make the change for them or whatever position. So that ends up meaning either you have a completely different game plan and you look good after the quarterback change, a la Jimmy Garoppolo, San Francisco 49ers, when he started 5-0 there or whatever to end the season. Or, you make the Michael Penix change during the bye week or something like that. That didn't happen. But that's when a lot of those bad teams make the major change and just say, hey, full tank mode. Let's see what we got. Let's see what we got season at that point.
Yeah. I thought the most telling is if you were you're rooting for your team's bye, I would say you're either rooting early or you are rooting late. That seemed to be what the numbers were suggesting. If you could be weeks 5 or 6, that's great. Maybe even 7. But otherwise, you're really rooting to be week like 14 or 12, fine. But those middle ones either were very statistically non-consequential. Or,
it depends though, because
it all depends. It's a bullshit stat, but
it is. But we're doing baseball stats here. But if you are the 49ers or the Lions or somebody who's just insanely injured, you need that middle bye just to either bring in people to work out to fill these fucking spots or to get one more week to get people healthy. Because 49ers, people like that, they were statistically, mathematically eliminated by week 12, week 13, week 14.
Yeah.
Like they already screwed themselves. So you don't want to bye week after you've screwed yourself if you're a team looking to contend. Like the Ravens got lucky. Let's pretend Derrick Henry got hurt and had to get put on IR early in the season. They would have been screwed.
Yeah.
Or Lamar, obviously. They just got lucky.
What's interesting is sometime we'll go through a deep dive on the teams who clearly got worse after a bye. Some of them are like, did the bye impact what the Bears did? No. The Bears wish they had it later so they could have had the change and then a bye to round the troops, but that didn't make a difference. But teams like the Cardinals record before and after bye, something happened there. They got way worse.
Sure. Call of Duty season.
Also, so there's things in the air. What also was in the air, Zach, is bad teams refusing to take. This was the most fun thing I did this week. This is our firm bottom 10 draft order. This we know as of the recording of this episode because the season is over. Number 1 overall pick, Tennessee Titans.
Yes, congrats.
Yep, good for them. They last week, Zach, were number 2.
Okay.
The Browns are your second pick.
Wow. Good for them. While recording, we just found out Deshaun Watson had a setback in his injury. Surprise.
No one's happier than the Browns.
Yeah, for sure.
Will they trade up 1 pick? We'll see. So Browns are number 2. They were number 3. Giants are now number 3.
Wow. Again? Or no, they were 4 last year.
They were 4 last year. Maybe been 5, but they are 3 now. They were 4 last week. Of course, 2 weeks ago, Zach, they were number 1. Drew
Lock happened. Yeah.
Drew Lock happened. But Zach, you may have noticed all those teams shifted up 1. Why is that? Well, that is because the Patriots.
Joe Milton fucked around and fucking won the game. Congrats to you.
Drew Lock's getting so much shit. Joe Milton really screwed this.
He really did. What a fun player, though.
Yeah, they dropped 3 places. They have their quarterback, so maybe they're fine. It's Joe Milton. But they're the 4. Yeah. The Jags hold steady at 5.
Okay. Shout out Doug Peterson, who's got free today.
Gone. Also maybe free, the Raiders head coach, Antonio Pierce. But for now, he's still there.
Yep. Bring Gruden back.
They're at 6. They move up 2 this week. They're the biggest move up, tied. So they move up from 8 to 6. They flip-flop with the team that just refuses to lose, Zach. But for now, they're 6. The Jets hold steady at 7, even with a win.
Nice. Good for them.
A loss, they would have slid up possibly all the way to 5. So that also did hurt them, but they didn't move. But they hold steady. Yeah. Bryce Young, God damn it, he refuses to lose.
Yeah,
do it again. The Panthers at 8.
Wow. Good job, guys.
They were the number 1 pick for most of the season. And they dropped from 6 to 8 here. So they flip-flop with the Raiders. So they continued their pitfall. The Saints move up 2 picks from 10 to 8.
Okay. Yeah. That's good for them. They need it.
Yeah, good for them. And then down there at 10. Oh, wait, by the way, it counted wrong. Saints are 9. So they only moved up 1. So that means number 10 was number 9, but they won as well. Stick it to them. It's the man. It's Chicago Bears.
Ha! Gotcha. Good job. Great job. Great win. Played terrible, but you got to win.
By the way, Bears always around number 10.
Yeah, for sure.
Feels like it. So, because they traded to get the Panthers pick, never forget. So,
right.
All that to say, Zach, 3 teams since week 14 have had the number 1 spot in the rankings, that being the current Titans, the Giants, and the Patriots.
Yeah.
All in there.
That was after the Panthers lost it.
Correct. However, and this was interesting to me, none of these 10 teams have ever since week 8 been not tied for one of these top 10 picks. There's a lot more, the Bengals were in there and other teams had bad records and tied, of course, and then more games got played. But this bottom part of the league, like the league has a clear tier of we are not competitive, and it is these 10 teams. Yeah.
But I mean, Ravens lost to the Raiders. We have some like bad losses to some of these teams this year.
Bears beat the Packers. Like it should have beat them twice.
Yeah.
There's
Packers were a blocked field goal away from not winning a single divisional game.
The famous, like the Giants, the Drew Lock win isn't obvious. Like, what are we doing? Jets beat the Dolphins here at the end. Bryce Young's beat everybody when the time's right.
Bryce Young could be a guy. I don't know.
But it's just, and listen, it feels like they refuse to tank. The top 3 teams all have 3 losses. Like so many of these teams are terrible. So they're bad. Yeah. But all of these teams at one point, like the Bears are the 10th pick with 6 wins.
Yeah, that's true. Feels a little
5 wins.
5.
So it feels like, oh man, these teams won too many games. Not that many.
No. 5 wins used to feel a little bit better, but 5 and 12.
Well, part of it is there's a bit of a cluster. No one, lost less than 3 or won less than 3.
Which is strange. Usually there's a 2.
Usually there's a 2. A random one. Usually last year there was 2 teams with 2 wins. So
they're getting better. That's good news.
They're getting better, but the cluster is stronger. They're drifting away from the middle class. So it's just an interesting thought, but what a roller coaster. Patriots are not going to get the same hate that Giants did, but that's crazy.
I mean, Patriots, boy, I'm not saying he deserves the job, but poor Jared Mayo. He was never going to be the coach.
No.
Just hold the seat warm for Vrabel.
That sucks. Yeah.
He left on a win. They're like, get out of there. You were supposed to lose, you asshole.
Do you think there's any world where he gets to be on the staff?
I mean, if he wants it, no, though. Like, with this type of exit, that's too polarizing. That's too...
Oh, yeah, because he was just there on the team. Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be players that are fully on his side if he's there at all.
Yeah. No, can't do it. Have fun in North Carolina.
Honestly. You can work for Steve again. Nice.
What everyone wants to do.
Yep. Go learn under Steve Belichick how to be a head coach.
Just how Eberflus disappears into the tiers of Alabama's coaching hierarchy.
I mean, like everybody, man. It's insane.
Yeah. Hey, we gave Saleh a job that I can't define with the Packers.
He stands around and just kind of looks big. Kind of alphas people. He draws attention away from practice. That's good. Packers notably have been worse since he's come, but that's fine.
Yeah, he's got that magic touch about him. But All
Mhm.
that to say, Zach, let's end the show here, which is we enter the playoffs. Give me your lock Super Bowl pick and your wishful Super Bowl pick.
Lock is Chiefs over Eagles. Hopeful would be Lions over Ravens, probably.
Yeah. Okay, I like that. I think my lock and my wish for are the same. I'm very influenced by last night's game, but
Okay.
I gotta say, I think the Giants they're out. They can't do it.
They cannot.
The Lions, I know why they would lose, but that doesn't mean they will. Like, I get they're so beat up, and maybe that will hurt them when they beat some of the better teams. But listen, I don't think this is going to happen, but would I be shocked if, like, the Eagles lost to the Packers? No. I'm not betting on that, but it's like it's very Eagles to come out and just get cowboys by the Packers in week 1. So all that to say, I think I'm going to stick with my lock and my hope. Now, I'm going to differ slightly. My lock is Chiefs beat Lions, and my hope is Lions beat Chiefs.
Sure. We do both feel Chiefs are in it, though.
I think the Chiefs are in it, and honestly, if I kind of want anyone from the NFC to beat the Chiefs. I agree. Yeah, that's the Chiefs are a great heel. Put them in the Super Bowl. Yeah. Just don't win.
Bingo.
But
yes, I'm not sure if I talked about this with you or either Trevor or Luke last year. It's like we want the Cowboys in the playoffs. They're the heel. They're the ones we want to beat. Like, correct. Chiefs are great for the NFL. You don't need to root for them. Like, we need somebody in we can't have two teams we love in the Super Bowl and have it be a great story.
And
usually.
They're kind of the only heel.
Right now. Yeah. In the playoffs.
Yeah. I'll root like crazy against the Vikings, but nobody else will. So it's, right. That's how it is. But I don't know. Cause otherwise I guess it's Bills. But
I don't know if they're a heel. Like, I don't
think the Eagles are a heel.
The Ravens could be if things go right, but I don't think they are at the moment.
Yeah. The only other thing
Eagles can be a heel.
Eagles will be de facto heel. That's what I'm saying. I think it would be Eagles because if Chiefs don't make it, I think if it's Eagles, anybody, we're probably rooting for whoever the Eagles are playing. It'd be interesting if it was Eagles Ravens. I think that's like just pick one.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you're rooting for whoever against the Eagles. I will say, I don't know. I was going to say there's a lot of poetic justice in an Eagles-Chiefs rematch without Jason. But I don't know if I want to see the Eagles win. If the Eagles are playing the Chiefs, this is what needs to happen. If it looks like even a second on the clock and the Eagles are about to beat the Chiefs, Jason better get in that fucking game.
I agree. Let him take the snap. He doesn't need to snap it. He
be a disgrace if he doesn't take the field.
I agree. We'll go on this. Did you watch his late night show yet?
No.
I haven't yet. I think that's going to be good, though. It's called Late Night, or so they call it Late Night with Jason Kelsey or something like that.
He'll be good at it.
For sure.
Yeah, I've seen clips. I think it will be good. I really don't think I'm going to watch it just because I just don't make it to it. What are you going to do? But
I mean, that's fair. There's too much content out there. WWE's on Netflix now. I mean,
WWE's on Netflix, AEW's on Max. I've extended both subscriptions 100%. AEW's entrance music, by the way, to the show is the Pointer Sisters.
Really?
Okay. Yeah, they changed it for Max. It's a new, fresh look, and we're coming out to I'm so excited.
Interesting. I don't know if that's good or not.
I don't think it is.
Okay.
But
they do a lot of things that aren't great, I guess.
No, all the jokes now is like, I hope WWE's theme is like the Doobie Brothers.
Ooh, I'm down. Let's do it.
They come out and it's China Grove.
God, they need to go back to, what if they came out to like Marilyn Manson or something again? Like, what if they go throwback? That would be the best case scenario.
That's what I want. Everyone's saying, making the same ass that you are, and everyone's like, give, oh God, I always do this. Why can't I think of their name when I need it most? Who's the band that everybody hates?
Creed?
No.
Nickelback?
Nickelback had a theme. Everyone's like, bring Nickelback back.
I'm just saying we need Vince tonight on the
No,
show.
wrong.
Bring him. Okay.
We don't.
Suplex him. It doesn't matter. Just he needs to be on the show. What if he comes out and he's like, "Where the hell have you been?" And then Triple H comes out and pedigrees him, and that's the last we ever see of Vince.
I mean, that would be great. I'm already coming to terms with like some guy I like is going to be out there that is just going to get thrown a million miles and be like, "Oh, Brock's back. Great."
Oh God, Brock's comeback tonight would be awesome.
There's
in the tractor.
Yeah. There's a very real chance Logan Paul walks out WWE champion tonight. I need folks to be ready for that. Yeah.
Okay. Ugh. He is going to be like the face now, isn't he?
We re-signed
WWE.
There's a lot of rumors that they want him to be the feature of Netflix. And depending on, by the way, bet on the Rumble this year. That was going to be my other thing if we had time for it. The Rumble's a fun one to bet on. There's a lot of speculation but Paul's rumored as like a long shot to be involved in the Mania main event. So He's a great person to have in like the last 3 people of the Rumble, just because everyone will be like, no, please. Not him. Yeah. But no, the women's Rumble odds are like all over the place. And the men's Rumble, it's basically like you could bet the favorite, which is Cena, or everyone else is like a tie. But the women's Rumble, I think there's money to be had because it's going to, I think the women's Rumble is clearly going to be someone who's not, it will be a return. It's just who is it? It will either be an NXT call up or it will be a return.
Can't wait for Lita to win it then. Okay. So
her and Matt Hardy come out, steel chairs.
That'd be sick. Jeff Hardy fucking drunk on top of a ladder. Give it to me.
It's jazz.
That would be surprising. China. So we will go over that a different time. We gave you an extra long show today because we're doing legal shit and we missed the Christmas week. Our bad. So you got that for you, an extra long feature film of us going through playing lawyer for an hour, and then we talked about other stuff.
100%. And if you remember anything else from this show, allegedly, fuck Bobby Diaz.
Dude, why not Flurry Sports be the definitive Bobby Diaz interview? Come and air it out.
Oh, I'm willing to learn. Yeah, come on.
I'd love your side of the story here.
Tell me what the fruit joke was.
Yeah, it had to be hilarious. What made you take your pants off on live TV behind the cameras, assumingly?
How many times did Skip ask you for sex?
True. What did Skip offer you? For sure.
It's true. Thanks for listening, everybody. Big crowd today. So maybe morning shows. That's the move. Who knows?
Maybe. We'll be back next week. See you then. Bye.